Yeah, let's continue, from where we left off yesterday. So we have seen the introduction yesterday, right? What is Kubernetes? Uh, why we use it, and few the components, the architecture. What are things inside Kubernetes, and what are how we can, what is the use of those things. So today we'll start with installation. We'll start with the installation. Installation of Kubernetes cluster and adding the workers to the cluster. So we'll see all those things. So there are a few steps involved, obviously. So we have to do all those things. Let's set up. Simply just a Kubernetes installation. I think what is our OS? Let's see. I think it's Ubuntu. Let's see. Yeah, it's Ubuntu 24. So let's search for that installation. Ubuntu 24. Of course, you can go with official website. There is an official website Kubernetes where you can able to use. See, it will give you all the steps. This is no, wait a minute. This is not the cluster installation, but there will be where is the official? Oh yeah, this one. Let's say it will give you full steps, Linux, everything. See, but yeah, of course, as most of us, we don't see official documentation at the beginning, right? So let's go to something else. See, before installing, one thing I want to clear that. See, we are installing Kubernetes, but Kubernetes have different flavors. What does that mean? Flavors is it has different packages to install. So one is like, you know, Kubeadm. ADM is administration. COPS and there is what is it? Mini Cube. These are all Kubernetes only. These three, whatever I mentioned, but different flavors. What does it mean? Different flavors is depends on the environment. You can choose whatever you want. If you choose Kubeadm, it's a generic way of installing Kubernetes where you will maintain everything. You have to manage everything, nodes, clusters, cluster nodes, and everything. Minikube means it's a single node cluster. Let's say you have cluster means multiple nodes, right? Multiple servers, but we don't have multiple. Let's say we have only one machine. So still we want to use Kubernetes. At the time, Minikube for practicing in local, it will be helpful. And there is something called COPS. If you are running, installing, Kubernetes on AWS cloud, COPS is the one which generally uses. I never tried these COPS because we have different things to use in AWS and all, which will come later, not now. But so far, we just starting it, starting to know Kubernetes. Let's go with Kubeadm because we have to install this cluster, these packages, set up the cluster, add the nodes, manage all the things, whatever we have. So we'll go with Kubeadm for now. That's why you're saying, of course, as I told you, these are Kubernetes only, except the package names are different based on the our situation. That's it, our requirement. So I have also two nodes are there. So obviously I'll choose this one as master, this one as node. So let's see what are the steps. Blah blah blah. It's fine. Setting the host name, it is fine completely, no worries. Yeah, this is the one mandatory thing. Kubernetes does not support swap, so we have to disable by default. Swap by default is disabled, but yeah, let's execute it again because in AWS, I mean, I'm creating server in AWS, right? It won't give swap, but let's disable it. Let's check it. Obviously, nothing came. So swap is disabled. So this should be disabled everywhere in all the in the cluster. I mean, in all the servers, whatever we have. Next, if you observe, it's saying something called load container D modules. What does that mean, container D? Remember yesterday we were discussing container runtime. Kubernetes, I mean, one of the components. Let's say let's go to Kubernetes architecture. One of the component in Kubernetes architecture is container runtime. Let's take any image. So the runtime, what is the main container runtime is here. Ah, come on. So yeah, what is the runtime means to manage the containers, right? Obviously. So either like Docker or container D, as I told you, that is also a runtime. As I told you now, in recent versions of Kubernetes, Docker does not support as a runtime. It means Kubernetes does not use Docker anymore to manage the containers. It uses something called container D. That's why we install this container D. As again I told you yesterday, still we use Docker to build our own images, right? We can build our own images with Docker and we can deploy them. But except that, the only change is Kubernetes does not use Docker to manage the containers. Earlier it used to use it. I don't know why they removed it, but yeah, since I think a year or two they removed uh, Docker. Like they don't want to use Docker anymore for managing the containers. For managing the containers, we have to use container D. So which will install now. But still we need Docker. We need to build images, blah blah and everything. So similarly here also we need to, there are some modules for container D which are required. So we are just enabling that. Let's enable it. Yes, this also. And of course, he's saying create a configuration file as shown and specify the modules to load them permanently. So we have done this, right? A mod probe overlay like this. These enable the modules. But once you close the session and come back, it won't be available, obviously. So we are making them permanently, enabling them permanently. Done. Next. Same thing, whatever. Yeah. So next, fourth step is we need to enable IPv4. Of course, it will be by default IPv4 network they'll use, but he wants us to have like set up these things so that we Kubernetes uses IPv4 networking for communication. So let's do that. Not nano, I'll use VI. It's a new file we are creating. Obviously, paste it. Yes, same thing. This is a Linux thing so far we're doing. sysctl, usually remember, right? We enable that. Now these are done. Next, he's saying installing Docker. Okay, we already have it. Let's see. Systemctl status. Sorry, systemctl status Docker. Yeah, it's already there. Docker is running for us. So one step is fine. Now, yeah, it's already enabled, but let's exit it again. Now it's saying, you remember here, see, container D. Let's create it. Let's create a folder, obviously. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Creating a configuration. Let's It's saying restart service. I don't know whether this is exist or not by default. Oh, it's already there, restarted. Let's check the status. Say container D also installed. It's very small tool actually, not even like a Docker, a big one. Very small tool. So it's container D is running. If you see now, it's running, right? Now our runtime is ready. Next, Kubernetes components. We have to install these packages which are required for Kubernetes, obviously. So let's do that. This will be very easy to install unless there is some issue. Unless there is some issue, we have to pick our heads. I'll tell you why that. But yeah, let's. These are all Linux packages only so far. Let's install this. It's completely fine. Of course, this is how we are installing Kubernetes, right? This is the key, repo key. We are adding the repo key. I forgot to tell you one thing. Kubernetes earlier, in earlier stages, where it is at Google, Google, worked on that one. That's why you're seeing this. That's why you're seeing what you're seeing here is I forgot that name earlier. Kubernetes have Borg or something, but when it was there with Google, they named it Borg, and they worked on it for development and all. But now, yeah, they made it public, open source, so anyone can able to use it. But earlier, it's with Google. Mm, yeah, I'm installing, updated the package and everything. Now, next, yeah, is it done? Yeah, next we need to install finally Kubernetes. So to install Kubernetes, we need to install three packages. Kubeadm, which is Kubernetes in a package, which as I told you. Kubelet, this is an agent, as I told you, right? Agent is required. And kubectl. Kubectl is a command line tool to interact with the Kubernetes cluster. So let's say Docker CLI is there. What does that mean? We'll install Docker so that we can talk to Docker service and whatever the commands we give. Similarly here, kubectl is the one which we use to communicate with the cluster, to communicate with Kubernetes cluster. We'll use kubectl commands. So we have to install like this. Correct? This is the one we need to install. So if you see until here, the installation is common. Let's install first. Let's sorry. So until this step, we have to do in all the nodes. Until this step, we have to do in all the nodes. So let's say I have two things, right? Two servers. So I want to, I mean, with these two servers will act as a cluster. What this is master, this is node. In node also, you have to do until the package installation. Whatever the steps we did so far, all we have to do in the node also. But when they will become master and node, you remember in Docker Swarm, we choose one server and we initialize the cluster, right? Similar way here also, we initialize the cluster. Once the package is done, see, we initialize the cluster. That's how. That's when it becomes master, another one becomes node. But yeah, let's see. It's okay. Let it install. Oh, it's all done already. See, it's all done. So installation is done. Next, what we have to do? We have to initialize the cluster. This is starting point of Kubernetes. So initializing, sorry, Kubeadm is the package which we just installed. So with Kubeadm, we are initializing the cluster. And what is this pod network? Okay, init also fine. It's what is a pod network is. We have to give an the range, IP range here, which will be used in the with the cluster, for everything, for communication. So they gave 10.10.0.06. It's fine. You can give it. Let's save it. See, it started initializing. See, Kubernetes version 1.31. which is kind of maybe a latest only. We are also using 1.31, I think 1.32 or something, but it's okay. See, it will take some time, maybe 4 minutes. It will initialize. It's done. See, your Kubernetes control plane is ready. To start using your cluster, you need to run these following as a normal user. See, what it's telling is do not run Kubernetes as a root user, run as a normal user. So you have to go to as a normal user, execute these commands, then Kubernetes start activated. And of course, if you see, you can run as root user also, except you need to define this. But do not run as a root user and never run run Kubernetes as a root user. Always as a normal user. Any user. I have Ubuntu user, so I can run with that. That's fine. And of course, you can join any number of worker nodes by this following command. Join command they gave it. See, it gave join command. I can execute this in that node and it will join as a worker. But yeah, before that, let's go to normal user. Execute these three commands. What it's doing is here with these three commands, we're just creating a folder and copying a file. If you see config file, we call it a cube config file. Cube config file. It has all the information about the cluster. See, just information about the cluster. So whenever you execute, whenever you want to talk to the server, I mean the cluster, it will read that kube config file and it will allow you, give the details. So .cube is the folder which we just created in the home directory of the user. Home directory of the user means Ubuntu where it is. /home/Ubuntu, right? Like that. That's it. Cluster is ready. You want to check something? kubectl get nodes. See, not ready it is. That's okay. That's a status will not ready. We'll see. But yeah, see, cluster is ready. In the cluster, we have one master. This is the master role control plane because we have initiated the cluster here, right? So this is the master version 1.3 age 2 minutes. IP address, I mean host name. See why the status is not ready. That we'll discuss. But so far, cluster initialization is done. We'll add the nodes later. No worries. But yeah, this is for now. Cluster installation is done. Of course, this also we have done these three steps. There is one more step, something called installing Calico network add-on plugin. Blah 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 blah. These things. You know why this Calico network is required? Calico, I mean, what is Calico or some, why we need this? Where is it? Step 8. See, this is we need to set up the pod network. If you see here, you should deploy a pod network to the cluster with one of the options listed here. There are multiple types of pod networks. What does it mean pod network? Simple. Else pod we haven't discussed yet, but yeah, imagine as the pod as a container for now. So pod network means see we have defined a cluster. For imagine, let's say to keep it simple, Docker is there, right? Docker have its own network, right? Correct? Docker have its own network, bridge, overlay, or host, or all those things. Similar way, what happens now in Docker? We can create our own containers in that network and they'll communicate each other. Similar way here, but what's happening is, let's say, sorry, what is that? Kubernetes also should have its own network by default. Pod network is the one which we'll be setting up to communicate with within the cluster I want to say. But what is pod then? What is pod? Pod is nothing but in a container we deploy in Kubernetes. That we will discuss tomorrow. What is pod? Just in container. Let's say it's a container. Don't worry about counting too much. So a container network is required here in Kubernetes for the communication. Correct? So now there are multiple types of container networks, I mean pod networks. It's there, I think three or four are there. Let's open this link. They gave this link. We have to choose any of this. See, Calico, ACI, Canal, Cilium. There will be one called Flannel. See, Knitter, blah blah. So many are there. There will be one more thing called ViewNet, which is little famous. Yeah, of course. The most three commonly used is either ViewNet or where is another thing, Flannel and Calico. Any of these. Why? Because those are most widely used because they're not complicated and easy to use. Other things you have to set up lots of things. Even now, I'm not sure if the Calico works directly, but let's see. So they gave commands, kubectl command to execute something. I know you won't know this, but let's execute as it is for now. Once the time comes, you'll understand. Yes, it's saying download Calico custom resources file using curl. Let's download. Next, what it is saying. Update the CADR block. It's currently, see, we have initialized a cluster with this IP, right? 10, sorry, network, not IP. 10.10.0.16. In the file, by default, it is 192.168. So just replacing that with sed. You know this already. Next, what else? Applying the resources. Now I'm creating the resources created. Now get nodes, it should be ready. See, that's what they are saying. Get node should be ready. Let's hopefully, it is not ready yet. Let's wait for 2 minutes. Meanwhile, it's okay. And once this is ready, you know what's the next thing? Just add your worker to here. That's it. Add your worker using that kubectl kubeadm join command. And we'll do that. That's the only thing pending. Remaining testing Kubernetes cluster, blah, 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 all these things. Because we create a resource and that's it. If it is working, its cluster is working fine. That's the test. But yeah, it's okay. This Calico may take some time. See, finally it's ready. Finally, the cluster is ready. I mean, the node, sorry, whatever, the master node is ready in the cluster. Now, what I have to do, I have to execute this command. Copy this, whenever you install it, copy this somewhere. And don't leave it like that. Execute this command in here. Let's do it. You remember before executing this, joining the with kubectl and all, we need to install the packages. Here also there won't be any packages, as I told you, right? Until where is that? Until before initialization, blah 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 blah. Until yeah, step 6, we need to do the same process here also. Let's go. Step 2, disable the swap space by default. Yeah, even though it's disabled, but let's do that. See, we won't do Kubeadm init here, right? Because this, see, we choose this server as a master. Why? Because for some reasons, maybe the memory is high, the resources are high, so that's why we made this master. Now this is just a worker only, just like how we have in Docker Swarm. This is a worker. This worker will install this packages, required packages, and add to Kubernetes this master. So that's what we do here. Load container modules. Yeah, let's. IPv4 address. Okay. Same thing. I'm executing the same steps. Same thing. Nothing, I'm doing extra. Whatever we discussed, I'm doing each and everything. Docker is already there. Let's see. Systemctl status Docker. Yeah, Docker is already running. It's fine. Container D. blah 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 blah. Whatever with I'm just repeating it because as I told you, until in package installation, the steps has to be repeated in all the servers within the cluster. If you want to add a server to the node, sorry, to the cluster, I mean, if you want to add a server to the cluster as a worker or as a node, you have to do these steps until the package installation. Got it? Yeah, it's running. What's next? Install this packages, Kubernetes components. You remember yesterday I told you kubelet agent needs to be installed, needs to be running. This is what we are doing, right? Here, we're installing kubelet agent, and agent has to be running. If agent is down, gone. Gone means it will be not ready. Oh, let's update. Install the components. So obviously, that's it. Initializing cluster, we already did another server, right? This is just a worker. We don't want cluster here also. So one cluster is fine. One master is fine. So how to check whether it is version? Kubelet hyphen version. See, it's installed. Now what you do simply, we have to execute this. Where is this command? Yeah, this command we have to execute. Of course, before executing, I'll check something. The firewall, I'll see whether the ports are allowed or not. There are few ports need to be allowed 6443. If you observe here in the URL, it's saying 6443. This is required because Kubernetes cluster uses that port to connect, with the node and everything. Let's add a few more ports. 10250, 10251. What else? Usually 30,000. Sorry, that is 767. I'll explain you all these things, don't worry. And what is adding, don't worry about these things. What else? I think that's it, I guess. Yeah, these are fine. So this is actually for Kubernetes port numbers range. By default, it will use 30,000. Once we deploy some application, we'll see, don't worry now. 10250, 10251 is for API server etcd. Those components are there. Remember master components for those. Now I have added. Let's execute this now. Let's see whether it works or not. I'm just adding this in node. Blah blah blah. It's going on, going on, going on. See, it's added. Then this node joined the cluster. Certificate signing request was sent to API server and response was received. The kubelet was informed of news secure connection details. Run kubectl get nodes on the control plane to see this node. That's it. So what happens when you do this command, when join command is, it will send a request, certificate request. It means, hey, it's like a, when you're joining somewhere, you'll show the documentation, right? Same thing here also. Hey, I got the documents. I got a call from, Kubeadm command to join here. It will validate and it will allow you to join. That's the only thing. Next, what to do? Go to cluster, go to master, sorry, get nodes. See, simple. The cluster is ready now. We can deploy our things here. But yeah, we don't deploy it today, don't worry. See, trust me, so it became very smooth today. Generally, it won't end like that. Thanks to this document, really. So you have to just follow it. Cherry servers, just Search for installation, Kubernetes installation and look for this cherry servers. Trust me, last time it took almost 2 days to install. Why you may ask? It's easy, right? Why you are saying? Because this network, what we have installed, Calico network, right? Where is this? This one, this step 8, installing Calico network. This won't finish easily. This won't get success easily because there will be lots of issues we have faced earlier. But this cherry servers, really it helped actually. So we just, made it simple. That's it. It's not simple. It is complicated, but once you get to know it, it will be very easy. Correct? So that's all about Kubernetes installation. That's it. How do we install, all these things? Let's say you want to add one more node. What you do, simply until step 6, I guess, I believe. Until the package installation, you have to do in that new node. And then just join command. And then again, the join command you have to execute, which will, you know, add that node as a into cluster. After 24 hours, the join command will expire. Don't worry, you'll get a new one again. And of course, as I told you, kubectl is a command line tool which we use to connect to Kubernetes cluster. Kubectl get nodes. See, both are on kubectl get pods. They're all see Calico, the network which pod network, etcd, API server, controller manager, kube proxy, kube scheduler. See, we have discussed these things, right? The major components. Why there are proxy 2 are running? Because we have two nodes. One is master, another is a node, right? As I told you, proxy runs everywhere. That's why. And these are only one because it'll run only on master. Of course, this also. Core DNS one thing is running here. We haven't installed any of this, right? Why this came core DNS is this is used for service discovery. It means identifying sorry identifying services, accessing those, how we access those in Kubernetes. So this one this will be useful. I mean, this service discovery by default it will be present. No, don't worry about all those things. All we have to know is how they works, how it's working, and how we set up. How we set up, we haven't discussed that yet because before setting up we need to know about what are few other things inside it. Like, see, by default, we don't deploy containers in Kubernetes. We deploy something called pods, POD. These are all pods, whatever you're seeing. POD pod. Inside pods, there will be containers. We don't deploy with Kubernetes, using Kubernetes, we don't deploy containers. We deploy pods. And inside the pod will have a container. You may ask why like that? Why can't we just simply deploy the containers? Because that's how Kubernetes works. Pod, if you ask me what is pod, it's like very small thing actually, small unit, let's say. What happens is inside that we can run containers, one or more containers inside a pod, one or more containers. So don't worry, we'll see all those things, how to create a pod, blah blah blah, what are all those things. For now, yeah, this is fine. Kubernetes installation is fine for today. So let's not too much because I'm telling you, Kubernetes will take like three weeks, I believe, for sure. Let's open the channel. See Kubernetes. Oh, this is yesterday, sorry. There is a playlist already, the old one. There is it. See, 18 videos. Last time we discussed about
College students get
sorry 18 videos. It's been 3 weeks excluding Sundays. Where are we currently? Installation. See, last time it took 1 hour 18 minutes for install. As I told you, it's not that simple. Today it happened. I don't know, maybe luck today, but it won't happen like that. So lots of time it will take. See, 1 hour 18 minutes last time just to install Kubeadm and Calico network. But today just half an hour. That's all. Got it? That's okay. It's fine. Practice this installation with from this cherry servers. Remember it. Uh, I'll share the link. So and we'll see tomorrow. We'll see tomorrow same time. I'm just stopping the servers for now. I'll enable it again. You may see I'm stopping it tomorrow. I'll start it the servers again. So there won't be any issue for the cluster. Cluster won't get deleted. It is still present. Just stopping. That's it. I'm just stopping the machines. See, if you stop the phone or laptop or something, your data won't get lost, right? It'll just shut down. That's it. Same thing here. So nothing will happen to the cluster. Got it. So let's meet tomorrow same time discussing about other components. All right then. Bye. Bye all. Have a nice day. Bye.